For 7 years, Don Meredith was the colorful quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. The 7 years produced the sunshine and shadows of victory and defeat, which are the growing pains of champions.
High left, fire right, drag left. Ready? Hunt, hunt!
During the Meredith years, the Cowboys emerged from the shadows and became consistent winners.
It was really a screwed up looking thing. I didn't even know what to, yeah, I think they did. I think they missed it because I didn't know what to audible. Brown right, fire slant 34. Zone 2, ready? Last left. Hunt, hunt! He's on! What we said!
Don Meredith left the Cotton Bowl for the last time a winner and left the Dallas Cowboys to fill the most important position in football. 1969 would be a rebuilding year, and the Cowboys would be a team in transition. Though it was Roger Staubach's last start, it was not the last time he exhibited his varied skills. In his first year, Staubach showed professional precision as a passer. He was a runner, not a scrambler, who escaped danger in bold bursts of motion. In Staubach, Dallas found a valuable reserve for Craig Morton.
Come on, let's go! Go defense! Get on and get a draw! Come on, hold him down. Come on, stop him right there. Come on, now get him back. We gotta have it back.
The Dallas defense was a perfect blend of savagery and swiftness. Its personality and character was derived from the 4 men in the pit. The 4 were ends George Andre and Larry Cole, and tackles Bob Lilly and Jethro Pugh. 8-year veteran George Andre still attacked quarterbacks with youthful enthusiasm, while young Larry Cole stalked and struck like an old pro. From the inside came the collective might and muscle of tackles Bob Lilly and Jethro Pugh. When Pugh was unable to play, he was replaced by Ron East, number 77, and the defense didn't miss a beat. Backing up the front 4 were 3 veteran linebackers. Number 52, Dave Edwards, patrolled one side, while All-Pro Chuck Howley, number 54, roamed from sideline to sideline on search and destroy missions. In the middle was Leroy Jordan, the robust leader of the Cowboy defense. Jordan relished meeting a runner or receiver man to man and then assaulting them with serpent swiftness. Behind the linebackers was the secondary. Their job is the toughest in pro football. Defensive backs must fuse the flowing grace of a receiver with the toughness of a middle linebacker. It is a position of persuasion and constant contact. In 1969, 3 veterans anchored the deep defense. Safety Mike Gechter played most of the season injured, but still was the Cowboys' second leading thief. Cornerback Cornell Green was the Cowboys' best one-on-one defender, while All-Pro Mel Renfro played every position. and intercepted more passes with more flair than anyone else in the NFL. While the Dallas defense was individually brilliant, it was as a unit that they excelled. There was no team tougher to run against in all football. They swarmed and smothered and crowded and crushed and came in waves and packs of tacklers. Only 3 times did an opponent cross their goal line by rushing the football. If the defense was tough on runners, they were tougher on quarterbacks. The Cowboys tackled quarterbacks more times for more yards lost than any other team in pro football. So, through 6 games, the refurbished Cowboys looked unbeatable. Through 12 grueling, strength-sapping weeks, one of the most consistent elements of the Cowboys was the offensive line, led by center Malcolm Walker, guards John Nyland and John Wilbur, tackles Tony Liscio and Ralph Neely. The Dallas line helped Craig Morton launch pro football's most devastating offense. In his first year as a starting quarterback, Morton generated a reconstructed attack that gained more yards than any team in pro football. With a flick of his wrist, Morton powered his passes through the narrowest seams in the secondary. To a quarterback, courage is as much a part of the game as throwing touchdown passes. During the season, Morton proved that his heart was as strong as his arm. Morton played much of 1969 crippled, but he endured the beatings, withstood the punishments, and came back throwing. While the Cowboys had many tools of victory, it was at receiver that they were most secure. Dallas had interchangeable tight ends in veterans Pettis Norman and Mike Ditka. When Bob Hayes was injured, his replacement, Dennis Homan, averaged 20 yards every time he touched a football. But only Bob Hayes can turn those 20 yards into 100 yards. Although he missed the season's first 4 games, Hayes still finished with over 700 yards in receptions. Even if pro football was a game of two-hand touch, it would be hard to lay a glove on Bob Hayes. While Bob Hayes eluded capture with fluid bursts of speed, Lance Rensel shadowboxed with a defender until he escaped for that one fleeting moment of freedom. Rensel's uncanny ability to squirm free when it counted was documented by the fact that 1 out of every 4 of his receptions was worth 6 points. In 1969, Lance Rensel caught 12 touchdown passes. To complement their long strike capability over ground, the Cowboys gained more yards on the ground than any other team in pro football. Setback Dan Reeves was the most dangerous Cowboy runner inside the 10-yard line. While Reeves was a spot performer, Walt Garrison was not. It is hard to replace a man like Don Perkins, who gained over 6,000 yards for Dallas, but Garrison did. Garrison's Billy Goat butt and buck style of running accounted for over 800 yards rushing. Then there was the man from Yale, who ran from the cloistered walls of the Ivy League into the pros without losing a stride. Unheralded but unstoppable, Calvin Hill became the most feared power-speed combination to hit the pros since Jimmy Brown. In a game of specialists, versatile Calvin Hill was a throwback to earlier eras because he ran, caught, and passed with equal ease. Whether the Cowboys needed 5 yards or 55 yards, it made little difference to Calvin Hill. "24 players were drafted ahead of Hill, but he was football's Rookie of the Year. Although he ran brilliantly outside at 6'4" and 224 pounds, Hill was made to run over people, and he did. But he didn't just run over tacklers. He jumped over and at them with the zest and style of a Ty Cobb in football cleats. With Hill and their offense healthy again, the Dallas Cowboys met the new general of the Cowboys was Craig Morton. Morton had patiently waited 4 years for his turn to come, and now it had arrived. The apprentice became the master craftsman. The preseason saw a complete renaissance of the Cowboy backfield. Besides Morton, there was Walt Garrison, who had replaced the retired Don Perkins, and rookie Calvin Hill, full of promise and destined for stardom. While Morton was a quarterback with experience, Roger Staubach was not. An injury to Morton forced the Cowboys to start Staubach, known as much for his running as his passing, in their first regular season game against the St. Louis Cardinals.
After 2 years in the Army, Cardinal quarterback Charlie Johnson won his job back. Against the Cowboys, Johnson, throwing mainly to Jackie Smith and number 80 Dave Williams, moved the Cardinals almost effortlessly. However, when it came time to convert their opportunities into points, St. Louis could manage but 3 points all day. In one preseason game, quarterback Roger Staubach scrambled for 118 yards, but Dallas lost. Against the Cardinals, Staubach rarely strayed from the comfort of the pocket, and the Cowboys won. At times, the 27-year-old rookie quarterback took a fearful beating from the Cardinals, who dumped him 6 times for losses. But in the end, it was Staubach who delivered the most punishment. In the first half alone, 2 of his bombs accounted for 140 yards. One was a 66-yard strike to Dennis Homan, who was subbing for injured Bob Hayes. The other was a 75-yard shot to Lance Rensel for a first-quarter touchdown that was all the scoring the Cowboys needed to ensure victory over the Cardinals. Rensel's second touchdown came on the Cowboys' very favorite play, the option pass. Triple threat rookie Calvin Hill disguised the play beautifully, then unlimbered a 53-yard toss to Rensel, who was all alone when the ball arrived. Staubach scored the final touchdown on a rollout to ensure a surprisingly easy 24-3 Cowboy victory. It was a big day for Dallas and their rookie quarterback, as they took their first giant step in their quest for a 3rd consecutive Capital Division title.
In Game 1, the Cowboys relied on an old strength in the time-tested Dallas defense and demonstrated a new one in versatile rookie setback Calvin Hill. But the real difference was Roger Staubach, whose poise and passing turned the game into a rout. Staubach rarely strayed from the pocket as he found and shot holes through the Cardinals secondary. Dallas walked off with their first victory, 24-3.
While the New Orleans Saints cheerleaders chased a midget cowboy around the Sugar Bowl, their team threw a scare into the real Cowboys and jumped into a 7-0 lead on a Bill Kilmer to Andy Livingston connection. But the midget soon turned into a 6'4", 227-pound giant atom smasher named Calvin Hill. Hill, number 35, ground out 141 yards and 2 touchdowns against the stubborn Saints. The game's longest play was produced by Cowboy quarterback Craig Morton, who rolled left and threw back right to number 25, Les Shy, for a 49-yard touchdown. When the Saints rallied to a 17-14 advantage, Dallas turned Hill loose again, and the Cowboys were in their familiar position atop the Capital Division.
The Cowboys went into their second game with Morton back at quarterback. Morton rarely passed against New Orleans, but contented himself with handing off to Calvin Hill, who scored 2 touchdowns as Dallas triumphed 21-17.
In Philadelphia, the Eagles met the Dallas Cowboys. The explosive Texans moved through the air on the strong right arm of quarterback Craig Morton and move on the ground with the explosive thrusts of their rookie running back Calvin Hill, number 35, the NFL's leading rusher. Though Dallas blended their offensive firepower with one of the stingiest defenses in the game, it was the Eagles who produced the first burst of brilliance on a Norm Snead to Gary Ballman connection. On a simple quick opener, fullback Tom Woodashick, number 37, powered for 19. Then Snead threw to the flag, and Harold Jackson's touchdown gave Philadelphia a surprisingly easy 7-0 lead. Undaunted, Dallas struck back on a screen pass to Hill, who steamrolled 24 yards through the Eagles' secondary. Disaster struck Philadelphia when Hill fumbled and Lance Rinsel recovered in the end zone to tie the score at 7. From that point on, it was all Dallas and all Calvin Hill. First, he stampeded through the middle on a routine circle route. Then he transformed a basic sweep into a 53-yard picture book touchdown. By reviewing Hill's run, we can see the special talents that make him the most exciting power speed runner to hit professional football since Jimmy Brown. Bedazzled by Hill, the Eagles then fell prey to Morton's bomb to Rinsel, and the Cowboys possessed a comfortable 21-7 advantage. Every team prepares for the Cowboys' option pass, but no team seems able to defense it. Hill's wobbly pass to number 24, Dennis Homan, set up the Cowboys' last score of the half, as Craig Morton scrambled free of the rush and found Dan Reeves, number 30, unmolested at the Eagle 10 for a touchdown. A replay shows that Morton wanted to exploit the Eagles' vulnerable middle, but when no outlet appeared, he alertly unloaded to Reeves, his second or possibly his third choice of receivers on the play. With Hill nursing an injury in the second half, Morton ripped the Eagles apart through the air. On one pass to Rinsel and another to Homan, Morton steered Dallas to its last touchdown. Morton's rollout touchdown to Mike Ditka, number 89, coupled with a later field goal, gave Dallas 38 points and over 500 yards in total offense. The Dallas defense also did its destructive thing and threw Norman Snead and his substitute George Myra, number 10, 8 times for huge losses. Caught in the awesome crush of Dallas' undefeated whirlwind, Eagle rookie head coach Jerry Williams was taught the hard facts of life in the Capital Division.
Victory number 3 was an easy one. For the first time, Dallas displayed its passing might as a healthy Craig Morton bombed the Philadelphia Eagles with 3 touchdown passes, and the Cowboys won 38-7.
The Dallas Cowboys ran into Atlanta Stadium and ran over the Falcons on Sunday. With a perfect mixture of 165 yards on the ground and 239 yards through the air, Dallas remained undefeated through 4 games. Setback Walt Garrison, number 32, the game's leading rusher, and number 30, Dan Reeves, consistently shot through gaping holes in the young Falcon defense. The determined blasting of rookie Calvin Hill set up Les Shy's short touchdown blast as Dallas led 14-3 at the end of the first quarter. Led by number 74, All-Pro defensive tackle Bob Lilly, the Dallas defense stomped the Falcons in its usual brutal and decisive manner. After the game, Falcon head coach Norm Van Brocklin said, "Dallas showed us how to play rough, tough football. There were a lot of bloody noses out there today." For the 4th straight week, the Doomsday defense held their opponents to less than 100 yards rushing, and through 4 games, no team had scored against them on the ground. Cowboy quarterback Craig Morton, number 14, consistently shredded the Falcons' deep defense. Morton either drilled the ball to the open areas of the Falcons' zone, or when no hole appeared, he used his supercharged arm to muscle the ball through traffic. This touchdown pass to flashy Lance Rensel, number 19, gave Morton and the Cowboys a sizable 24-3 lead in the 3rd quarter. Falcon quarterback Randy Johnson engineered an Atlanta rally in the 4th quarter by connecting with Gale Cogdill, number 15, and Paul Flatley, number 85, on consecutive passes. A slick screen pass to Junior Coffey made the score respectable at 24-17. But through 4 games, the undefeated Cowboys still look like the class of the Capital Division, if not all of professional football.
The next week in Atlanta, the Falcons separated Craig Morton's shoulder, but Dallas collected a bruising 24-17 win.
In a battle of quarterbacks, Philadelphia's Norm Snead faced Craig Morton, the NFL's leading passer. Morton made a shambles of the duel as Snead's only glorious moment came on a 65-yard touchdown pass to diminutive Harold Jackson, number 29. Philadelphia's other score came on a 53-yard interception by Texas University rookie Bill Bradley, who learned that football with a flourish can be a dangerous death wish in the Cotton Bowl. Hampered with a sore arm that allowed him to throw but 4 passes all week in practice, Morton threw for 5 touchdowns in the first half alone. His first 2 went to number 19, Lance Rensel, on identical slant-in patterns. The destructive Dallas defense mauled Eagle runners and receivers alike. And once their defensive ends, Larry Cole, number 63, and George Andre, 66, caught Snead in such a vicious pincer that he fumbled. And massive All-Pro Bob Lilly, number 74, strode 9 majestic yards to a touchdown. Bob Hayes, number 22, returned to the starting lineup for the first time and quickly showed that a 4-week absence has not eroded game-breaking speed as Morton and his receivers continued to run relays up and down the field. To set up his passes, Morton probed the porous Eagle defense with the savage thrust of rookie Calvin Hill, who rushed for over 60 bruising yards. Morton's third touchdown pass to Rensel came on the same pattern as the first two, a quick slant in to the post. His fifth touchdown of the half came on a rollout throw to tight end Pettis Norman, who was all alone at the flag. At halftime, Dallas led 42-7. In the second half, Dallas scored only once on a short burst by Dan Reeves. The undefeated Cowboys had won 49-14, and a merciful Tom Landry knew as he left the Cotton Bowl that the final result was closer on the scoreboard than it was on the field.
On the fifth Sunday, Philadelphia came to Dallas. Once again, the Cowboys destroyed the Eagles through the air. After a 4 weeks absence, Bob Hayes returned to the lineup, and the rebuilt Dallas offense was finally intact and fully explosive. Seven Cowboy touchdowns buried the Eagles, 49-14. Sunshine turned to starshine in the Cotton Bowl as Dallas faced Fran Tarkenton and the New York Giants. 10 times the massive intimidators of the front line collapsed Tarkenton and held the Giants' offense to a mere 3 points. At game's end, a battered and beaten Tarkenton was fittingly drowned in his own end zone by the Dallas defense for a safety. Through 6 weeks, the defense remained unflinching, and the Dallas Cowboys stood undefeated. But in the seventh, their bubble of invincibility was rudely burst by the Cleveland Browns. Browns quarterback Bill Nelson riddled the Cowboys secondary with quick strikes to Paul Warfield and exposed a weakness in the Dallas pass defense. Cleveland touchdowns came in bunches, and Dallas lost 42-10.
After their traumatic weekend in Cleveland, the Cowboys returned to the Lone Star State, hoping to find themselves against New Orleans. The Dallas offense acted as if it had never been away. Craig Morton directed an attack which accounted for over 400 yards in total offense, and he threw for 2 scores, including this one to number 22, Bob Hayes. Sensational rookie Calvin Hill continues to make a simple sweep look like the best play in pro football. Hill gouged out 109 yards and 1 touchdown through a Saint defense that was stacked against him, and the Cowboy ground game looked awesome once again. After surrendering 42 points to the Browns, the Dallas defense had identity problems of its own, but Saint quarterback Bill Kilmer recognized the Cowboy front four right away. This week, the Cowboys simply went back to punishing people. Despite Dallas' return to form, the Saints refused to fold, and a Kilmer to Dan Abramowitz pass tied the score 17-17 at the end of 3 quarters. Dallas then turned to its talented bench for 16 fourth-quarter points. Dan Reeves, number 30, is healthy again and is once more one of football's most reliable runners inside the 10-yard line. Mike Ditka, number 89, started in place of the injured Pettis Norman, and his touchdown reception capped an impressive 33-17 rebound victory. Dallas fans hope that these are the real Cowboys.
Dallas rebounded from their first defeat by trouncing New Orleans. Craig Morton threw for 2 touchdowns, and Calvin Hill rushed for almost 100 yards in the second half alone. By now it was apparent to all of pro football that Hill was an extraordinary rookie. The Cowboys' 33-17 win was the first of 2 impressive victories.
The Dallas Cowboys entered RFK Stadium intent on making the Washington Redskins their 8th victim in 9 games and eliminating them as a factor in the Capital Division. The Cowboys were led by their 6'4", 220-pound rookie Atom Smasher Calvin Hill. Hill gained 150 yards rushing, scored 2 touchdowns, and showed Redskin rooters why experts call him the next Jim Brown. But it was Washington who scored first on a pass from Sonny Jurgensen to tight end Jerry Smith. Dallas retaliated swiftly when Craig Morton scrambled free of the rush and connected with Lance Rensel for a 65-yard score. Dallas led 17-7 and almost turned the game into a rout when Bob Hayes turned on the afterburners with a punt return. Hayes' 50-yard sprint set up Calvin Hill, who gouged out a tough 3-yard touchdown. Cowboys 24, Redskins 7. If there is a way to beat Dallas, it is through the air. Sonny Jurgensen knew this and combined with Charlie Taylor to produce an 88-yard touchdown. The Redskins clawed to within 6 points at 27-21 on Jurgensen's second touchdown to Jerry Smith. In the third quarter, Redskin hopes for victory were ruined by a clipping penalty which denied Ricky Harris' spectacular 83-yard punt return. Calvin Hill's velvet-smooth strides carried Dallas to its 34th point on an 8-yard power sweep. The Jurgensen to Smith combination struck for their 3rd touchdown, and Washington trailed by 6 again, 34-28. But Dallas' doomsday defense rose up to smother Jurgensen's desperate bid for a victory as they intercepted 3 crucial passes in the 4th quarter to ensure a 41-28 triumph. For Dallas head coach Tom Landry, next week brings the Los Angeles Rams. It will provide a true test of the Cowboys' greatness and a key to their postseason destiny.
In Washington, Hill was responsible for victory number 8 as he rammed and bucked for 150 yards, and Dallas won 41-28. From Washington, Tom Landry's Cowboys traveled to the West.
There were celebrities galore in Los Angeles to watch Roman Gabriel and the undefeated Rams take on Craig Morton and the once-beaten but injury-riddled Dallas Cowboys. From the opening kickoff, two of football's roughest defenses traded rough defensive plays. Two of the NFL's leading pass rushing teams made it difficult for either passer to be very efficient. The Dallas Doomsday Defense and the Los Angeles Fearsome Foursome are rough on any man caught trying to carry a football. Roman Gabriel got the Rams on the scoreboard first as he withstood a fierce Dallas rush and unloaded a long pass to little number 14, Wendell Tucker. Craig Morton brought the Cowboys back with a rollout touchdown pass to tight end Mike Ditka, number 89, and at the half the score was tied. In the third quarter, Gabriel again fired to Wendell Tucker. Again, the Rams were ahead by a touchdown. Again, Morton brought Dallas back. But this time, a sure touchdown pass resulted only in field goal position. In the fourth quarter, Roman Gabriel burrowed into the end zone to give the Rams an 8-point lead with only 4 minutes remaining. But Morton and the Cowboys still would not fold. A 99-yard drive culminated with passes to wide receivers Bob Hayes, number 22, and Lance Rinsel, number 19, to pull the Cowboys within 1 point at 24-23. Although the Rams held on to their 1-point victory, these two star-studded teams must now wait till January to find out who really is best. But as Ram coach George Allen said, 10 in a row. That's a pretty good start.
West Coast to meet the Sunshine Supermen of the Los Angeles Rams. Without Calvin Hill, who was injured, Dallas was unable to pry apart the Rams' fearsome foursome. Because both teams were division leaders, the game had added luster. On offense, the Rams scored with startling suddenness, while Dallas touchdowns were the aftermath of deliberate, painstaking drives. While the Cowboys searched for the elusive magic of victory, the Rams stole the scoreboard and won 24-23.
From the opening whistle, the Dallas Cowboys found themselves going backwards under the pressure of a strong 49er push. Fast Nolan Smith returned Mike Clark's kick 60 yards to put the 49ers in striking range. 4 plays later, perfect blocking cleared the way for Ken Willard, and he outran safety Mel Renfro for the score. On the next series of plays, the 49er defense punished Dallas for 3 consecutive losses and took over again. All day, San Francisco quarterback John Brody was as accurate as a laser beam, and he hit Ken Willard for the second touchdown in 5.5 minutes. The Cowboys were stunned, 14-0, and the rest of the game was catch-up. Dallas quarterback Craig Morton was troubled with 3 interceptions, but he managed to move the ball with throws to his running backs. Number 30, Dan Reeves, got 1. Then Reeves found a space window and rocketed in for the first Cowboy score. The other Cowboy running back, number 32, Walt Garrison, was the game's leading rusher. His safety valve receptions rescued Dallas in several tight situations. Finally, in the third quarter, Dallas capitalized on a recovered fumble and pulled into the lead with a 31-yard strike to flanker Bobby Hayes. But the lead vanished when Brody drove downfield and hit rookie Gene Washington in the Dallas end zone. Both teams had collected field goals, so Dallas trailed by 7 points. With 4:13 left, Craig Morton scrambled for his life and spotted flanker Lance Rensel. Rensel dove and managed to drag both feet in the end zone to tie the score. But catch-up is all San Francisco would allow. When the clock ran out, the score remained 24-all.
And then in Pittsburgh, they scrambled past the Steelers 10-7. With 2 games left in the regular season, Dallas looked tired and stripped of their vaunted power.
Dallas blew into Pittsburgh in search of a Capital Division title and met 2 opponents, the Steelers and the weather. Wind, rain, and snow plagued both teams all afternoon and made the football a slippery and sometimes maddening item. Neither team could generate much of an offense in the mud, as a receiver often resembled a baseball player stealing home plate. The hungry Steelers have been victorious only once this season, and a strong defense was their only hope for victory. The Cowboys found their biggest gun plugged with mud as a soggy Calvin Hill was held to a measly 23 yards. While the Steeler defense remained almost impregnable, Dick Shiner unlimbered his waterlogged arm and hit diving John Henderson for Pittsburgh's only score. Dallas squeezed a little offense from their drenched attack. Mike Clark booted a field goal and Craig Morton skirted right in for a touchdown as the lackluster Cowboys held off the determined Steelers to clinch their 4th straight title, 10-7.
Baltimore Colts in the 13th week. The defense limited Baltimore to 10 points and forced the old master Johnny Unitas into a day of errors. While Unitas consistently overthrew his receivers, Craig Morton coolly split the Colts' zone defense, short and deep. The 27-10 victory was the Cowboys' 10th of the year.
The old master came to the Cotton Bowl sporting a brand new hairstyle. While Johnny Unitas tried to regain his passing magic, the Dallas Cowboys rediscovered their defense. Their pass defense, which has been porous for most of the season, picked off 4 Baltimore throws. At times, the Cowboys secondary blanketed the Colts so effectively that they resembled the intended receivers. Only once did Unitas penetrate the defensive web of Dallas as he connected with John Mackey with a 52-yard touchdown pass that tied the game at halftime. Cowboy quarterback Craig Morton felt the punishing thunder of the Colts' front four, but his arsenal of offensive weapons was more varied than the Colts could cope with. One weapon was 227-pound Calvin Hill, whose reckless style of running set up the first Dallas touchdown. Morton produced a score when he rolled left and lofted a perfect strike to Lance Rensel, who was beyond the flailing arms of safety Tom Maxwell, number 42. Morton broke a 10-10 deadlock with a long delivery to Bob Hayes, coupled with a 19-yard touchdown lob to tight end Pettis Norman. Dallas honed their skills for their meeting with the Browns in the Eastern Division playoff and outplayed the fading Colts in all departments. A 1-yard plunge by Walt Garrison ensured a 27-10 victory as Dallas displayed their many splendored talents for the first time in several weeks.
Redskins in the season's last game. Gearing for next week's Eastern Division playoff against Cleveland, the Doomsday defense checks Sonny Jurgensen and the Redskin offense without a touchdown. The rebuilt Dallas offense scored easily when it had to, and the Cowboys conquered Washington 20-10. It was 7 days to Sunday, a day when the Cowboys would know their renaissance was not yet complete.
Washington came to Dallas primed for an upset and found only oblivion. Quarterback Sonny Jurgensen was able to produce some short gains, but was unable to muster a touchdown. The only point scored by the Redskin offense was a field goal by Kurt Knight. Their only other score came when linebacker Chris Hanberger converted Calvin Hill's fumble into a Washington touchdown. The reason for Washington's puny attack was the Cowboys' doomsday defense, which leveled Jurgensen 5 times. Number 63, defensive end Larry Cole, was double-teamed at times, but broke through to drop Sonny twice. Even when Jurgensen tried to roll free of the rush, he was sandwiched into sawdust. Safety Mel Renfro, number 20, the NFL's leading thief, intercepted his 10th pass of the season as Dallas defense geared for their Sunday showdown with the Cleveland Browns. On offense, Dallas was led by Rookie of the Year Calvin Hill, who ground out consistent gains through a Redskin defense that was geared to stop him. Hill, for the season, gained 942 yards, the second best mark in pro football. Quarterback Craig Morton was effective with passes to tight end Pettis Norman, who is more used to blocking than receiving. Whenever the Washington pass rush became too hot, Morton cooled it down with reverse screen passes to set back Walt Garrison, number 32. Morton led Dallas to its first touchdown by passing first to Bob Hayes on a deep square-out pattern. Then, with the flow going in one direction and Morton in the other, he baffled Washington with a strike to Pettis Norman for an easy score. The Cowboys' last score came on a power sweep by Hill as Dallas triumphed over Washington 20-10 and appear to have gained full momentum for this week's playoff with Cleveland.
Get him on!
For the Cowboys, the playoff was a nightmarish instant replay of the first Browns game. Bill Nelson and Paul Warfield ground out first down after first down as they stripped bare the Cowboys secondary. For the second straight year, Tom Landry watched Cleveland defeat his Cowboys for the Eastern Championship.
But Dallas was still alive. Morton was hit, but still got off a strong pass to his tight end, Pettis Norman, for the Cowboys' deepest penetration of the day. Dallas fans finally had something to yell about. A few plays later, despite a mix-up in the backfield, Craig Morton got a Dallas score to bring his team within 17 points. Their successful history had routed what had been billed as one of the super squads in football. This earned them the privilege of meeting the powerful Minnesota Vikings in the NFL Championship in Minnesota on Sunday. An earlier confrontation of the two teams resulted in Cleveland's most embarrassing loss of the year, a 51-3 shellacking. But today, with Bill Nelson, the pass master of the air lanes, and the Browns' young defense rising to the occasion, it is not too difficult to envision a Cleveland championship and a trip to New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
For the Cowboy players, the 1969 season ended 1 week too early. Nothing can erase the disappointment of such a loss, except the knowledge that in a year of transition, Dallas still won a championship. The Cowboys enter the new decade with the brightness and dazzle of a freshly minted coin. They have acquired victory's tools and the young players to meld with their offense of the future. The Cowboys are a team for today, tomorrow, and truly the team for the 70s.